And I'm going to start with the very first one because I love the first one. The first one's always that most memorable, but you actually have an even more memorable than usual because this made it into the local news, which the news article starts with 3 rescues after gorge tumble. Let's see. In what appears to be a bizarre series of events, 3 men were rescued after falling into Kloof Gorge. According to the VEMA High Angle Rescue Unit paramedic, Mark Easton, he received a call on Sunday for, I'm going to call it, Krantzkloof?
Yeah, so Kloof, just shorten it to Kloof. Everybody knows it as Kloof Gorge.
Got it. So Krantzkloof Nature Reserve rangers saying that they had found an injured man laying in a pathway in the reserve. The high angle rescue team arrived at the scene and were met by Netcare 911 paramedics and members of the SAP search and rescue unit. Quote, the patient was found semi-conscious about 1 kilometer from the entrance of gate and was treated by EMRS, who set up a drip. The patient was then carried out the reserve and specialized rescue basket by HAR, EMRS, and the fire department officers.
Yeah.
However, once they got to the parking lot, they were met by residents who indicated that his home at the edge of the gorge had been burglared earlier.
So it gets really fun.
All right. You know what? Let me keep reading. This is great. He identified the patient as a possible suspect and told rescuers the man had 3 other accomplices. The ranger and the fire rescue officers returned to the reserve and found the further 2 injured patients at the bottom of the cliff. Oh my gosh, dude. All right. You know what? Go, Nick.
This is one of those ones where, like, I promise you, if I told you this in a pub, you'd be like, bud, you've had too much to drink. It's like totally unreal. It's like the most random story ever. And so it was my very, very first rescue. And besides the fact that it was so off the wall, random, it also happened to be a really good friend of mine's wedding that day. And I was actually getting ready to go to the wedding in the morning. I was packing my car because it was like up in the mountains, so it was quite a drive. I was packing my car, I was getting my stuff ready. Phone rings. I'm like, piss off, guys. I'm going to a wedding. And phone rings again, like 10 minutes later. I ignore it, and it like just keeps ringing. So I answer it, and they're like, listen, it's going down, man. We need you. You got to come. I'm like, look, guys, I've got like a 2-hour window. Like this is going to be wrapped up in 2 hours because I've got a wedding to get to. They're like, just get in your car and come. So I'm like, cool. Get all my gear, get in my car, up the hill, get to the scene. And I walk past the ambulance with the guy in it, handcuffed to a stretcher. And I'm like,
that's funny.
I'm like, what the stuff is this? Like, and then I look at it and I'm like, whatever, carry on. Busy putting my harness on and stuff, go through the gate, down the path. I meet up with one of the other guys on the route. And I'm like, dude, why is it I handcuffed to the stretcher? He's like, bud, you're not going to believe this shit. He's like, these guys were burgling a house in the middle of the night. They got chased by one of the police dogs. They jumped the fence into the gorge. They just kept running into oblivion. And I was like, you got to be joking. They're like, no. So, and why it was oblivion was the grass had recently been burnt. So it was black grass into a black hole. And these guys had just been running down this bank, and then suddenly there's a cliff face, and they just kept going. Poof. Just one after the other. Poof, poof, poof.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
No, it was really funny. And then my sense of sympathy just goes from, like, I don't know, somewhere over here to 0. And I'm like, well, are they alive? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, they shouldn't be. And then, like, and then
they get for, like, burgling out of the house.
Yeah. So then we get to the cliff face, and the guys are like, there's 2 down here. I'm like, what do you mean there's 2? I'm like, this guy in the ambulance. They're like, yeah, 2. Him plus his 2 buddies. They down the cliff. So I look down the cliff, and there's like one guy lying. It's like one guy lying against a rock down here, and there's like another guy like another 10 or so meters below him. And I'm like, oh, okay. Start the exercise of getting them out. Like, can't climb down there, get a rescue basket down there. We were lucky enough able to get the police to bring their helicopter in with a long line, and we just long lined the guys out one at a time. The long lined ourselves out afterwards as well. Yeah. Also very memorable. Burnt my hands. First day of running a tag line on a helicopter. Burnt through my gloves. So it was great. So I had like this burn line down my hand, like full of dust, full of thing. Get at the end of there. We have our debrief quickly, and I'm like, fuck, I've got 20 minutes to get to this wedding. Like into a suit in the car park. out of a flight suit into a pinstripe suit. In my car, like I think I got a speeding fine because I was just racing. I was like, oof. Rock up my mate's wedding, like literally with probably about 7 or 8 minutes to spare. Yeah, one of the other guys looks at me, he's like, where the hell have you been? I'm like, I'll tell you just now over a beer.
Oh my God.
It was crazy. That one was like, and that one, I'll never forget that one.
Dude, that's awesome. Karma is kind of a bitch, isn't it?
Yeah.
Damn, man. So what helicopter comes in? The police helicopter comes in and does a long line.
Yeah. So they brought in a squirrel. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah,
with
125, the A-Star. Yeah.
Yeah, A-Star. Yeah, so known as an A-Star in the States. Yeah, so they brought in one of those, and then it gets really great actually. They bring the squirrel in, and they bring it into a low hover, and they attach the line to it, and they start to climb out, and the line falls off, and we're like, huh? And they bring it down again, put the line back into the hook, and we load it, and they're like, okay, that's cool, and they start their climb out, and it drops the hook again, and they're like, what the stuff? So they land the chopper, and the engineer gets out. Now they're on top of the cliff face, and we're in radio comms with them.
Yeah.
And the guy on the radio said, one of our guys at the top of the cliff says, oh yeah, the engineer says that the cargo hook's been giving them trouble, and it keeps just unlatching every so often. I was like, and you want us to clip onto this? So they fiddle around with it. Eventually they put a hitch in, and we're like, no, we're going to put a tail on and tie it to the skid or something. So we're like, hook a tail to the skid, and then hell, thank goodness for the 3 holes out. Because I was like, I mean, I've worked on aircraft, and like I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, that's not meant to happen, guys. Like, I know how a cargo hook works. And like, why is this thing unlatching? So yeah, that was good fun.
Hey, nowadays it's 2 cargo hooks. It's a dual.
Yeah, so now you've got to have the duplicate for Which funny enough,
fire.
Yeah. So which
funny enough, release.
I noticed that one of the guys had been doing a long line in South Africa the other day, and they didn't have 2 hooks on. And I was like, oh, are you guys up to the international standard yet? So, yeah.
Soon. So someday.
But, yeah, unfortunately, in some cases, things only get changed when something goes wrong. So
Yep. It's unfortunate, but it happens.
Yeah.
So dang, man. Oh, that's good. Well, thanks for sharing that one. That's fantastic.